there's something called ishara in Arabic. And ishara, like ismul ishara, uh, ishara means indication. Like you don't say the thing, like Ahmad, you don't say Ahmad, you say he. So you're making ishara to Ahmad, but you don't say Ahmad, you say ishara. And there's a saying in Arabic, al-ishara takfi lil-aqil, that an indication is sufficient to the person of intelligence. Meaning what? Sometimes you don't have to spell things out, that you can kind of allude to them, and that will be sufficient for someone to understand what you're trying to say. I don't know if any of that makes sense to you, but here's the reason I said that. Can I ask maybe a thought from some of those of you a bit older? Because that's, your person always thinks of yourself as young. But anyway, those of you who are older, like 30 years ago, did people speak as much from their own opinion as now? I imagine not, but I mean, I might be wrong. Because now it just seems like it's for me. It's like for me. It's actually frightening. It's not like something which is like academic argument. It is like something which is like actually frightening for me. This degree of just like saying anything. It's very scary actually. Yeah. Oh, you can't unmute yourself. Oh, sorry, man. Yeah, that's one way of stopping your own opinions. Okay, Bismillah, you can unmute yourself now if you want to say something. So Shakir asked, yeah, what's my opinion when something related to fiqh? So I think it's difficult when someone asks you a fiqh question. Um, I think you have to assess the audience and the type of question before you answer. Obviously, if it's something simple with which you know the answer, then you can say it. But if you're unsure, then rather don't say it and say I have to find out about it. So, or I've learned this or something. Those are fine to say because sometimes you have to give someone an answer. You have to speak to someone and give them advice. That's fine, but just also be cautious about giving fatwas. I normally just tell everybody Asma Muhammad or Asma Zakaria or something. No. Yeah, and I think some of you are messaging in the comments here and saying that it's to do with the technology and the keyboard and stuff. Definitely, I think there are two things that happen with technology. The one thing is that people are able to say things much easier now. Because it's much easier for you to type something and to post something than it is for you to speak out verbally. So the one thing is that people are much more free to say anything. And number two is that now suddenly we have a magnification of the audience. Any status update post can reach millions of people, and that is, in a sense, a very dangerous thing.
Maulana?
No.
Assalamu alaikum, Maulana. Yes, Maulana. Maulana, I just want to find out by Maulana itself. So, what do we do in a situation where you either like constantly either been, you in situations where people give opinions all the time and, in the new norm. So like, do we have a responsibility to tell this, to tell them, perhaps caution them, or do you try, what do you do in situations like where that's just the norm now? Where people give their opinions left, right, and center without having knowledge, without having studied or anything like that. What do we do? We don't have any, but do we caution them because that's their norm?
Yeah, so generally my personal approach, and it's up to you if you want to follow it, is that it would depend a lot on context. So I personally would never caution a stranger. Uh, if like I'm at, like, for example, maybe I'm like at someone's, like a house, whatever, function or something, and somebody starts speaking, like, it's not my place always to caution someone else because I don't know that person. So I'll rather generally be quiet. Um, I don't get involved in other people's disputes. Like the one day I went to buy some paint and there were two Buddhas arguing there about whether they must wear kufiya to the masjid or not. So they look at me, what do you think, Maulana? So I said, I think I'm here to buy paint. Then I put the paint and I left because I'm not there to like discuss. You know what I mean? I'm not there like for ammunition for someone's argument or something. Because when people argue, they're often not arguing for the truth, they're arguing for like ego and nafs and so on. So my approach generally is I leave people to do what they want unless it's a relationship where I feel comfortable, like maybe from a teacher to student or a family member or a friend or something. Then I would maybe speak about it. But and that also the way you speak depends again on the relationship. So my default is just to um, not I'm not a policeman of people's views. People can view whatever they want, but if it's someone close to me, and then I would maybe share my thoughts. No. A good question here from, is it Umayma? She said, like, how do you know who to take as teachers? And I think there's a very simple guideline who to take as teachers. I should mention in Nasiha as well. But who to take as a teacher is to take as teachers, for me, it's very simple, is people who have mainstream views. When I say mainstream, my teachers have the views that are consistent with 1,500 years of Islam from the Sahaba to the Tabi'in until our time. There may be some matters of ikhtilaf with regard to fiqh interpretations and so on, but fundamentally it's the same methodology. Fundamentally, it's the same methodology. And what's the methodology? We believe in the perfection of the Quran. We believe in the perfection of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. We take his words as a guide. His words has meaning. We accept those meanings. So for me, my advice is to, that's my own position, is I take as teachers those who are on the way that the scholars have always been, where I can see there's a consistency in their approach. I am very skeptical of someone who today comes to a position that is different from the history of scholarship and says, oh, they all made a mistake or they're all biased or they're all something and the actual position is this. I'm very skeptical about that. So that's my advice in terms of who you take as teachers. And if they within that, that's why we call it the Ahlul Sunnah, because the people of Sunnah, and then inshallah it should be fine. And then the other thing my advice to take as teachers is look at the adab of the teacher and the character of the teacher as well, that they should embody that. And the final thing is that know that teachers are also human beings. They make mistakes and they err and they have personalities and they have temperaments and also have the maturity to see those things as well. But fundamentally, our position should be very similar because it's based on similar sources. And some other comments here. Technology, the power keyboard. But Yaqeen says we should have fatwas or rules on modern technology platforms. The rule is very simple. Imam Ghazali, rahimahullah, many hundred years ago, said that the pen is the same as the tongue. The pen is the same as the tongue. So whatever you type and you post, you are as accountable for that as a statement you say to someone. On the day of Qiyamah, Allah takes you to account for that thing that you posted as well, because it's a communication. And the fatwas that apply to people speaking are the same fatwas that apply to people writing. So those are basically the positions.
Shukran.
Yeah.
I also wanted to know, your opinions that we have of everybody, they don't have any weight on how Allah will reckon with you one day. So if you have an opinion on a topic, it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, I mean, people have personal opinions on many things. My real issue is that when an opinion kind of overrides established positions. And then for me, that is very problematic because that's often an uninformed opinion. And then that is I mean, you can't stop yourself from having an opinion. You can stop yourself from voicing an opinion, but naturally you have an opinion on things. It kind of comes to your heart naturally. But again, it has to be when you voice it, it has to be something which is based on knowledge.
And I suppose guideline would be best to bite your tongue.
Yeah, the Prophet sometimes says, "Qul khairun aw liyasmut." Say something good or be silent. And this is the Prophet was, he didn't speak a lot. He didn't speak all the time. So yeah. So I mean, I'm really appalled sometimes. I mean, I don't listen to the radio. I don't have a TV and I don't listen to the radio also. But I mean, I do it for my own mental health not to listen to the radio because I don't want to get upset by all this stuff. And I try not to read also Facebook comments, and I mean, I don't even want to see what people are saying. Do you know what I mean? Like I'm in that state. I'm just trying to make I just focus on my own life here because like sometimes like if you listen to the radio and then you open Facebook and you see all the comments on the issues, like the thread runs into hundreds of messages and people are arguing and stuff. It's for me, it's like, is this the ummah that we are nowadays? Is this really what we've become? And I'm not saying that it is all bad. I'm just saying that it is also often a free for all. Anybody can phone in and say anything.
That's what I probably meant with the you know, if somebody's making an opinion or voicing an opinion on a social media platform, does that opinion even matter on what the person said? Like you said, now the guideline is to keep to be humble and keep quiet. But I mean, is that opinion gonna make that person go to Jahannam? I'm just asking.
Yeah, so the same thing is that you're accountable for your words. So if your opinion contains riba, backbiting, then you'll be accountable for that. If your opinion says something about Allah without knowledge, you'll be accountable for that. So it's the same as all of those things. But I'm just saying, like I mean, I try not to look. But obviously, sometimes you hear about what's happening, you check for a few minutes. But it's just sad to see that we sometimes lack maturity, and I think one of the main things it distracts the ummah from what's really important. Like us fighting about moon sighting or Makkah, Medina, whatever, Makkah, local, whatever we're fighting about, it distracts the ummah from what's really important. And that for me is a collective, it's a collective challenge that we have. So I'm asking you as students of Deen to take the higher road, take the mature approach, to speak which is good, to speak which is truth, and to focus your energies and your efforts on that which is going to build society. And if people are distracting and people are whatever having the latest issue now, just keep out of it. Just keep out of it, because you only have so much time and so much mind space in your life and so much wealth in your life and so much. You only have so many days before Allah Ta'ala. Use your days well, and I think this is the main message. No. To Zairun Nisa, which other subjects would you mention today? Would you commend to students who try to transform themselves from secular intelligence to increase spiritual intelligence? I mean, I think the first subject for me is study the Quran first of all. Really, study the Quran first of all, and study the life of the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. Because sometimes it's difficult to have legal discussions and philosophical discussions if you don't like feel Allah. Like, you know, when you read the Quran, Allah speaks to you. I am your Lord. You know, when Allah speaks to you, it does something to you. Not everything is something rational and dry in your mind. You work out A plus B equals C. You know, it's not all like that. So my advice always is to start with the Quran and start with, especially with the life of Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. Like read his seerah, because he is the life, and read the Quran, and that's where the change starts. Later on, we can develop the sophisticated arguments and all the other things. But your heart must be in the right place before. That's almost like where your heart goes, your mind follows. It's like a strange thing to say. I mean, it's interrelated, but not everything is just rational and dry. If everything was rational and dry, more people would believe in God. More people would believe in Allah. So it's not just like a rational discussion. People are actually not very rational. People are largely emotional beings. People are largely have very superficial thought. Often culture and upbringing just determines views, or their current environment determines views. People are not independent, rational thinkers that come to the best conclusion and make decisions upon that. Even we are not that either. How many of us knows that we will be accountable for something on the day of Qiyamah? It rationally makes sense, but we still do the wrong thing. How rational are we? How rational are we really? Or is it something else which is deeper, and something else which is deeper is your qalb? That your qalb is something which guides you. So my advice is start with that which transforms the heart. Inshallah. Okay. I miss the class discussions, to be honest, especially in these times. But I am very worried. I'm very worried about what's happening in general. And I make dua that Allah will help us to preserve our faith and preserve our way and to please Him. There's a lot of things